Have you ever spent hours wondering what someone thinks about you? Have you ever replayed conversations in your mind, worried about someone's opinion, or felt emotionally exhausted because another person's behavior kept occupying your thoughts? If so, you're not alone. One of the biggest reasons people lose their happiness is not because of what others do, but because they give other people far too much space in their minds. In today's video, you'll discover why overthinking people steals your peace, how to free yourself from emotional dependence, and how to build a life where your happiness comes from within, not from someone else's. Approval. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack everywhere you go. At first, you barely notice the weight. You continue walking, working, smiling, and living your life. But as the hours pass, your shoulders begin to ache. Every step becomes more difficult. Eventually, you become so accustomed to the burden that you forget what it feels like to walk freely. Many of us carry an invisible backpack. It isn't filled with books or stones. It is filled with other people's opinions, expectations, judgments, criticisms, and imagined conversations that never stop playing inside our minds. We wonder why someone didn't reply to our message. We worry whether people appreciate our efforts. We compare our lives with theirs. We replay past conversations, imagining what we should have said differently. We fear disappointing people more than disappointing ourselves. Little by little, our happiness becomes tied to circumstances we cannot control. The greatest tragedy is not that people think about us. The greatest tragedy is believing that our peace should depend on what others think. Think about the sky. Every day, countless birds fly across it. Some stay for a few moments before disappearing beyond the horizon. The sky never tries to hold them. It never chases them. It simply allows them to come and go. Our minds are meant to become like that sky. Thoughts about people will naturally appear. Opinions will come and go. Praise and criticism will both visit us. But we don't have to hold on to every thought that passes through our minds. Real freedom begins when we stop allowing other people's actions to become the center of our emotional world. Today, we'll explore 4 powerful psychological truths that will help you break free from overthinking, stop seeking constant approval, protect your emotional energy, and discover a happiness that no longer depends on anyone else's behavior. One of the quietest ways we lose our happiness is by handing the key to our emotions over to someone else. We don't do it intentionally. It happens little by little through small habits that seem harmless at first. We begin wondering what people think about us. We wait for appreciation after helping someone. We expect our kindness to always be recognized. We feel happy when people praise us and discouraged when they criticize us. Without realizing it, our emotional well-being becomes controlled by something we can never truly control, the opinions of other people. Imagine standing in front of a mirror that changes its reflection every few minutes. Sometimes it makes you look taller, sometimes shorter, sometimes stronger, sometimes weaker. Would you trust such a mirror to tell you who you really are? Of course not. Yet many of us allow the opinions of others to become exactly that mirror. One compliment makes us feel valuable. One criticism makes us question our worth. One rejection makes us believe we are not enough. One misunderstanding convinces us that we have failed. But people's opinions are often reflections of their own experiences, beliefs, expectations, and emotions. They are not permanent definitions of your value. Think about the sun. Some people wake up early and celebrate its warmth. Others complain that it is too hot. Farmers pray for sunlight while travelers sometimes wish for clouds. The sun does not change its nature to satisfy every person. It simply continues shining. There is a beautiful lesson hidden in that image. Your purpose is not to earn everyone's approval. Your purpose is to continue living according to your values, with sincerity, kindness, and integrity. Many people spend years trying to become someone they are not because they fear disappointing others. They hide their true personality. They silence their dreams. They avoid expressing their thoughts. They constantly adjust themselves to fit into places where they were never meant to belong. At first, this may bring temporary acceptance, but eventually, something much more painful happens. They begin losing themselves. Imagine a bird born to fly high across the sky. Out of fear that others may not approve, it decides to spend its entire life walking on the ground. The bird remains safe, but it never discovers the joy of using the wings it was given. Many human beings live in exactly the same way. They possess incredible gifts, ideas, compassion, creativity, and potential. Yet they keep these treasures hidden because they worry about criticism. The tragedy is not criticism itself. The tragedy is allowing criticism to silence the life waiting inside you. It is also important to remember something surprising. Most people are thinking far less about you than you imagine. We often spend hours replaying a conversation, wondering whether someone noticed a mistake we made. Meanwhile, that person is usually occupied with their own responsibilities, worries, and challenges. The mind has a tendency to exaggerate how much attention others give us. This unnecessary mental habit creates anxiety where none needs to exist. Imagine carrying a large suitcase filled with rocks. Every day you add another stone. One stone represents someone's criticism. Another represents someone's disappointment. Another represents a negative comment on social media. Another represents an awkward conversation that happened months ago. Soon the suitcase becomes almost impossible to carry. The remarkable thing is that most of those stones were never yours to carry in the first place. Freedom begins when you gently place them down. There is a powerful difference between learning from feedback and becoming imprisoned by opinions. Constructive advice helps us grow. Constant approval seeking prevents us from growing. One strengthens wisdom, the other weakens confidence. Every meaningful person throughout history has faced misunderstanding. People often criticize what they do not understand. Some may judge your decisions because they cannot see your vision. Others may question your path because it is different from theirs. If you spend your entire life trying to satisfy every voice around you, you will never hear the quiet voice of your own heart. Ask yourself this simple question: if nobody could judge me, what kind of life would I choose? The answer often reveals the life your heart has been quietly waiting to live. This does not mean becoming careless about other people's feelings. Kindness still matters. Respect still matters. Humility still matters. But there is a difference between respecting others and surrendering your happiness to their opinions. A healthy life is built upon values, not validation. When your actions are guided by honesty, compassion, responsibility, and integrity, you no longer need constant applause to feel at peace. A tree does not stop growing because someone dislikes its shade. A river does not stop flowing because someone complains about its direction. The moon continues shining even though some people never look up to admire it. Nature teaches us that true purpose does not depend upon universal approval. It depends upon remaining faithful to what you were created to become. As you grow in emotional maturity, something beautiful begins to happen. Praise no longer makes you arrogant. Criticism no longer destroys your confidence. You become steady. Your happiness no longer rises and falls with every opinion you hear. Instead, it becomes rooted in something much stronger. It becomes rooted in self-respect. Self-respect grows every time you keep a promise to yourself. It grows every time you choose honesty over popularity. It grows every time you act according to your values instead of your fears. Eventually you realize that peace was never waiting for everyone to understand you. Peace was waiting for you to stop asking everyone else to decide your worth. The greatest freedom is not reaching a place where nobody judges you. The greatest freedom is reaching a place where your heart remains peaceful even when they do. There is a silent trap that many people fall into without even realizing it. It is the belief that if everyone likes us, appreciates us, or agrees with us, then we will finally be happy. From childhood, many of us are praised when we behave in ways that please others. Slowly, we begin believing that our value depends on how much approval we receive. As adults, this habit quietly follows us. We hesitate to say no because we fear disappointing someone. We constantly explain our decisions because we want everyone to understand us. We overwork ourselves, hoping someone will finally recognize our efforts. We remain in unhealthy relationships because we are afraid of being misunderstood. Little by little, we begin living for applause instead of peace. Imagine a puppet controlled by strings. Every movement depends on someone else's hand. The puppet cannot move freely because its direction is determined by another person. Approval seeking creates invisible strings around our lives. Every compliment lifts us up. Every criticism pulls us down. Every rejection makes us question ourselves. Our emotions become controlled by people who may not even know the influence they have over us. The truth is, no matter how kind you are, someone will misunderstand you. No matter how generous you are, someone will think you could have done more. No matter how wisely you live, someone will disagree with your choices. Trying to satisfy everyone is like trying to stop the wind from blowing. The more you struggle, the more exhausted you become. Instead of asking, how can I make everyone happy? Begin asking, am I living according to my values? That question changes everything. When your actions are guided by honesty, compassion, and integrity, you no longer depend on constant approval to feel secure. Think about a compass. A compass doesn't change direction because people have different opinions about where north is. It remains steady because it follows something greater than public opinion. Your values should become that compass. There will be moments when people celebrate your decisions. There will also be moments when they criticize them. If your direction changes with every opinion, you will spend your entire life walking in circles. Peace arrives when your heart stops chasing validation and starts trusting your principles. The most beautiful relationships are not built because one person constantly sacrifices their identity to please another. They are built when both people respect each other's individuality while choosing kindness and understanding. When you stop chasing approval, something surprising happens. You become more genuine. Your conversations become more honest. Your decisions become clearer. And the people who truly value you begin appreciating the real person instead of the version you created just to gain acceptance. The human mind is incredibly powerful. It can solve problems, create beautiful ideas, and imagine extraordinary possibilities. But it can also become trapped inside endless loops of unnecessary thinking. Have you ever replayed the same conversation again and again? Have you imagined dozens of different outcomes before anything even happened? Have you spent hours worrying about what someone might have meant by one simple sentence? This mental habit quietly steals enormous amounts of emotional energy. Imagine your mind as a beautiful garden. Every unnecessary thought is like a weed. One weed may not seem dangerous, but if you never remove them, they slowly cover the flowers that were meant to bloom. Many people lose peace, not because life is difficult, but because their minds never stop, creating unnecessary stories. Someone doesn't answer your message immediately. The mind assumes they are upset. A colleague speaks briefly. The mind imagines they no longer respect you. A friend cancels a meeting. The mind begins creating painful explanations without knowing the truth. Most of our suffering comes not from reality, but from the stories we repeatedly tell ourselves. A peaceful mind learns to pause before believing every thought. Not every thought deserves your attention. Not every emotion deserves immediate action. Not every opinion deserves a response. One of the healthiest psychological habits is learning to ask, Is this thought helping me, or is it simply draining my peace? If the answer is the second one, gently let it go. Think of clouds moving across the sky. Some are bright, some are dark. The sky never chases them. It simply allows them to pass. Your mind can become like that sky. Thoughts will naturally appear, but you do not have to invite every thought to stay. Instead of spending hours analyzing another person's behavior, invest that same energy in becoming wiser, healthier, kinder, or more grateful. Your attention is one of your most valuable resources. Where your attention goes, your emotional life follows. Protect it carefully, because the quality of your life is greatly influenced by the quality of the thoughts you choose to entertain every day. One reason we think too much about other people is because we have stopped giving enough attention to our own growth. When your own life lacks purpose, your mind naturally begins living inside someone else's. You become overly concerned about their choices, their opinions, their success, their approval. Their life quietly becomes more interesting than your own. But imagine a gardener caring for a beautiful garden. Every morning, they water the plants, remove weeds, nourish the soil, and patiently help each flower grow. Because they are focused on their own garden, they have very little time to criticize someone else's. Life teaches the same lesson. The more you invest in becoming a better version of yourself, the less time you have for unnecessary comparison and overthinking. Read books that expand your wisdom, develop healthy habits, strengthen your relationships, learn new skills, care for your health, serve others with kindness, discover work that gives your life meaning. These small daily investments slowly transform your attention. Instead of asking, "Why doesn't this person appreciate me?" you begin asking, "How can I become a wiser and more peaceful person today?" Instead of wondering, "What are they thinking about me?" you begin thinking, "How can I make today's life more meaningful?" Purpose is one of the greatest protectors of inner peace. People who live with purpose are not free from problems, but they are less likely to become trapped inside unnecessary emotional distractions, because their energy is directed toward growth. Remember that your life is limited. Every hour spent worrying about people who cannot control your future is an hour that cannot be lived again. Your dreams deserve your attention. Your family deserves your presence. Your health deserves your care. Your heart deserves your kindness. The greatest gift you can give yourself is not convincing everyone to value you. It is becoming someone whose life is so rich with purpose that your happiness naturally grows from within. Before you leave today, take one quiet moment and ask yourself this simple question: how much of my happiness have I placed in someone else's hands? If the answer is too much, today can become a new beginning. Remember, people will come and go. Opinions will change. Some will appreciate you. Some will misunderstand you. Some will support your journey. Others may never understand it. But none of these things have the power to define your worth unless you give them that power. From today, choose to invest more energy in your own growth than in other people's opinions. Protect your peace by protecting your attention. Build a life filled with purpose, gratitude, kindness, and self-respect. The more you nurture your own heart, the less space unnecessary thoughts about others will occupy. If this message touched your heart, share it with someone who may need this reminder today. And if you'd like to continue growing in wisdom, inner peace, and emotional strength, subscribe to the channel and join us on this journey. Until next time, value yourself, protect your peace, and remember that the happiest life begins when your focus returns to becoming the best version of yourself.